Let's talk about the state of trucking in North America. The year is 2026, and the entire industry is standing at a major crossroads. On one hand, you've got these immense pressures, tight money, tough environmental rules, and a driver shortage that's hitting historic levels. But on the other hand, you have this incredible wave of innovation that's forging brand new paths forward. So the big question is, which way does the industry go from here? Let's dig in.
This quote from Ken Veith, it just says it all, doesn't it? It gets right to the absolute heart of everything we're about to talk about. Every single decision, from buying a new rig to adopting some wild new technology, it all comes down to one simple thing. Does it make money? The bottom line is the fuel that keeps this entire industry rolling.
So, what's the financial weather report looking like for truckers right now? Well, after a pretty brutal 2025, I think the best way to put it is cautiously optimistic. There are definitely some bright spots on the horizon, but man, they are fighting against some serious headwinds.
It's like a giant game of tug of war. In one corner, you've got a strong economy pulling things forward. GDP is up, people are buying stuff. That's the good news. But in the other corner, you've got this dead weight of freight rates that are still at recession levels, and that's squeezing profits. Now throw in new tariffs making equipment more expensive, and just a general cloud of uncertainty, and you've got a real battle on your hands.
But here's a number that shows you that optimism is winning some battles. 42,700. That's how many new Class A trucks, the big rigs, were ordered in December. That's a 16% jump from the year before. So what does that tell you? It means that even with things being tight, the big fleets are feeling confident enough to start buying new iron and replacing their older trucks. That is a huge sign that things might be starting to turn around.
Okay, so that's the view from 30,000 feet, but let's bring it right down to the cab. What does all this mean for the person who dreams of being their own boss? Well, for a lot of drivers, that dream hits a massive roadblock right at the start, just trying to buy your first truck. It's the dream, right? The ultimate goal for so many drivers. But if you've ever tried it, you know that getting a loan for a commercial truck is nothing like financing a pickup. Not even close. It is a frustrating, complicated maze. And here's why it's so tough. The traditional banks, they've got a checklist. They want to see a long business history, which you don't have. They see a gap in your income because you switched jobs, and they wave a red flag. They even get nervous about a perfectly good used truck because they see it as a bigger risk. And that's all before you even get to the nightmare of navigating different provincial rules for licensing and insurance. And here's the fundamental flaw in the whole system. A simple credit score just doesn't tell the whole story about a driver. It can't see your years of experience. It doesn't factor in your perfect safety record. It has no idea that you are one of the most reliable people on the road. And because of that narrow focus, the system ends up punishing some of the best people in the business. But, okay, let's say you do it. You climb that mountain, you jump through all the hoops, and you finally get the keys to your very own truck. You're out on the road, living the dream. And that's when you run smack into the next giant wall. The cash flow crunch. 90 days. Just think about that. You do all the hard work, you get the freight where it needs to go on time, and then you have to wait up to 3 months to get paid for it. Meanwhile, your fuel tank isn't going to fill itself, your tires wear out, you've still got to pay your own bills. For a small one-truck operation, that cash flow gap can be an absolute killer. So how do you bridge that gap? Well, this is where a really important tool comes into play called freight factoring. It's become a lifeline for a ton of operators. Put simply, it's a way to sell those unpaid invoices to another company, and they give you the cash for them right away. No more waiting. And the process is actually pretty straightforward. First, you drop the load and send your invoice to the factoring company. Second, boom, they send you the cash, minus their fee. And third, they take over the job of chasing down the payment from your customer. It turns your money is on the way into money is in the bank. Okay, so let's zoom back out from the individual driver's wallet for a minute, because there's another massive force that's changing everything for the entire industry. And that is the huge mandatory push toward zero-emission vehicles, or ZVs. This chart really puts things into perspective. Think about it. Heavy trucks are just a small fraction of all the vehicles out there, right? But they're responsible for over a quarter of all transportation emissions. That's a huge slice of the pie. So it's pretty simple. If you're serious about climate goals, you have to tackle the trucking sector. It's just not optional. Now, of course, these new electric or hydrogen trucks, they come with a monster price tag. So how does anybody afford them?
Well, governments are stepping up with some massive incentives. We're talking up to $200,000 off the price right when you buy it. That is an absolute game changer that makes switching from diesel to electric an actual real-world possibility.
And they're not stopping there. On top of getting that huge discount up front, businesses can also write off the entire cost of the vehicle in the very first year. It's a powerful 1-2 punch. And it really shows you just how serious this push for a green trucking industry has become.
So we've covered money, we've covered emissions, but maybe the biggest challenge of all comes down to people. The driver shortage has gotten so bad that it's forcing the industry to completely reinvent what it even means to be a long-haul trucker. And that's leading to some really cool, innovative ideas. Just look at this number, 160,000. That is how many drivers the U.S. is expected to be short by the year 2030. It's staggering. And let's be real, a big reason for that is the traditional lifestyle, being away from your family for weeks at a time. It's a tough sell, and it's just not working for a new generation of workers.
So what's the solution? Well, one of the most exciting ideas is called relay transportation. Imagine a cross-country trip, but instead of one driver doing the whole thing, it's more like a relay race. A driver takes the load for a few hundred miles, hands the trailer off to the next driver at a hub, and then turns around and drives home. The single biggest benefit? You get to sleep in your own bed every night. And you can really see the difference it makes. On the left, that's the old way, a messy, complicated web of routes. But on the right, you see the relay system. It's clean, it's organized, it's a hub-and-spoke model. And this isn't just about a better lifestyle for drivers, which is huge. It's also a smarter, more efficient way to move stuff across the country.
So when you put it all together, this is the question we're left with. The industry is getting squeezed from all sides, financially, environmentally, and from a massive labor shortage. But for every one of those roadblocks, smart people are building a new route. New financial tools, huge incentives for green tech, and brand new ways of thinking about the job itself. It seems the roadblocks of today might just be paving the brand new highways of tomorrow.